Commander Elena Reyes stood frozen on the bridge of the Curiosity, her breath caught in her throat as the massive alien vessel emerged from the darkness. 6 months of tracking the mysterious signal had led them here, to the edge of the solar system where no human had ventured before. Magnification at maximum, Lieutenant Park reported, his voice barely above a whisper. Commander, it's beautiful. The alien craft defied conventional design principles. Its crystalline structure seemed to both absorb and emit light simultaneously, creating an otherworldly glow against the backdrop of stars. The Curiosity, humanity's most advanced deep space vessel, suddenly felt like a primitive rowboat beside an ocean liner. Life signs? Elena asked, maintaining her composure despite the thundering of her heart. Dr. Sanvi Kapoor, the xenobiologist, glanced up from her station. Definitely, but unlike anything in our database. The readings suggest a silicon-based biology rather than carbon. They're hailing us, Communications Officer Chen announced, surprise evident in his voice. In perfect English, Elena straightened her uniform. On screen. The view screen shimmered, revealing a being that seemed sculpted from living crystal. Its translucent exoskeleton revealed intricate lattice patterns pulsing with soft blue light. Faceted eyes regarded the human crew with an intelligence that felt ancient and immeasurable. Greetings, Vessel Curiosity. The being's voice resonated with a melodic quality. I am Grand Emissary Zix Adel of the Galactic Hegemony. We have been observing your civilization's development with great interest. Elena stepped forward. Commander Elena Reyes of Earth, we're honored by your contact, though I'm curious how you know our language. The crystalline being's features shifted in what might have been amusement. We have monitored your transmissions for decades. Your languages were simple to decode. We represent an alliance of advanced species that has maintained peace across 12,000 star systems for millennia. We have come to invite humanity to join our community. Over the next hours, Elena led a small delegation aboard the Vorkadian vessel. The interior defied physics as she understood it. Gravity shifted directionally in corridors, while certain chambers contained what appeared to be solid objects passing through one another. Their hosts, who called themselves Vorkadians, demonstrated technology that seemed indistinguishable from magic. Our medical systems can eliminate all human disease within months, explained a Vorkadian scientist named Cathal, whose crystalline form was smaller and less elaborately patterned than the others. Your energy crisis would end immediately with our fusion catalysts. Elena noted how the junior Vorkadians seemed to receive subtle corrections from superiors when speaking too enthusiastically. During a tour of their propulsion systems, she seized a moment alone with Cathal. Your hegemony sounds impressive. Do all member species share equal governance? Cathal's inner lights flickered briefly. The founding species naturally guide the development of newer members. Your world would be classified as a Category 3 acquisition. The Vorkadian stopped abruptly as a superior approached. I mean, a Category 3 integration. A most favorable designation. Before Elena could press further, Grand Emissary Zix Adel guided her to an observation deck overlooking Earth, impossibly visible despite their distance. Such potential in your species, the emissary's voice carried something unidentifiable. We can offer you the stars, Commander Reyes. Protection. Advancement. Purpose. Elena studied the being carefully. And what does Earth offer in return? For the briefest moment, something cold and calculating flickered in the crystalline depths of the emissary's eyes. Every member contributes their unique qualities to our perfect order. We would never ask more than you can provide. When the Curiosity returned to Earth orbit a week later, accompanied by the Vorkadian vessel, humanity erupted in celebration. Government leaders scrambled to welcome the aliens, media outlets broadcast continuous coverage, and markets soared on promises of alien technology. Only Elena stood quiet during the ceremonies, watching the Vorkadians closely as they presented their gifts with perfect, practiced smiles. In her pocket, she clutched a data chip containing her personal log of inconsistencies in the alien story. small slips that nagged at her military instincts. But as Earth embraced its new future, her concerns remained unvoiced, a solitary note of caution amid universal celebration. 6 months after first contact, Elena stood atop the rebuilt One World Trade Center, watching a Vorkadian medical tower rise from the heart of Central Park. Its crystalline structure assembled itself molecule by molecule, a process that would have taken human engineers years compressed into mere hours. Similar structures now adorned every major city on Earth, each one a monument to the generosity of the galactic hegemony. Magnificent, isn't it? Dr. Takashi Himura joined her at the observation deck. As the newly appointed science liaison to the Vorkadians, his security clearance matched her own. Their cellular regeneration technology has already reduced cancer mortality by 87%. Elena nodded, keeping her voice low. And increased dependence on their maintenance protocols by 100%. Have you noticed none of their technologies can be serviced by human technicians? Takashi's expression remained neutral, but his eyes darted to check for listening devices. Commander, careful with such observations. The United Earth Council might consider them ungrateful. Later that evening, Elena's security pass granted her access to the Vorkadian diplomatic compound in former United Nations Plaza. Her official reason: a scheduled meeting with K-Fall to discuss integration of alien communication systems with military protocols. Her unofficial mission: to investigate why satellite imagery showed unusual energy signatures emanating from the compound at precisely 200 hours every third night. She found K-Fall in the lower engineering bay, his crystalline form dimmer than the other Vorkadians she'd encountered. The alien seemed startled by her early arrival. Commander Reyes, our meeting wasn't scheduled for another 23 minutes. Elena smiled. I thought we might speak informally first. Your insight on the hegemony has been valuable. K-Fell's inner lights pulsed with what she'd come to recognize as anxiety. I'm merely a technical specialist. Policy discussions are beyond my station. Even technical specialists have observations. She leaned closer. Like why the molecular printers in your medical towers transmit data back to your ships after treating human patients. K-Fell's crystalline structure briefly dimmed. You've noticed more than most. The Vorkadian integration process requires careful monitoring of biological data to ensure compatibility. Integration. Elena pressed. Before K-Fall could respond, alarms blared. Security protocols initiated automatically, sealing the engineering bay. Through the transparent walls, Elena spotted Dr. Takashi Himura being escorted forcibly by Vorkadian security toward restricted areas. Your colleague attempted unauthorized access to our central databases. K-Fall whispered, lowering his voice beneath the alarm's wail. Standard procedure dictates mind pattern analysis and memory adjustment. Elena's blood ran cold. Memory adjustment. K-Fall hesitated, then made a decision. His crystalline hand touched a control panel, overriding the security lockdown. Go to Sublevel 3, Access Port 17B. What your colleague found, you need to see it too. Just remember, not all Vorkadians support the Category 3 acquisition protocols. What exactly is a Category 3 acquisition? Elena demanded. K-Fell's inner lights dimmed to nearly black. A world whose population possesses useful genetic material and cognitive patterns for assimilation, but whose leadership structure requires replacement. He pushed a data crystal into her hand. This contains decryption codes. Now go. I must report your presence elsewhere to protect you. Elena slipped through maintenance corridors, evading security patrols until she reached Sublevel 3. The data crystal unlocked Access Port 17B, revealing a hidden terminal. As information filled the screen, horror washed over her face. Charts detailed genetic modifications to human physiology, implementation timelines for neural compliance systems, population reduction scenarios, and most damning, images of dozens of other worlds, classified as completed acquisitions. Once vibrant civilizations reduced to resource extraction colonies, their remaining populations serving as biological components in the vast Vorkadian network. Earth wasn't being uplifted. It was being harvested. Elena slipped through the back entrance of Geneva's Palais des Nations, now serving as Earth's unified government headquarters. The data crystal from Keful burned in her pocket like a live coal. She had spent 3 sleepless nights analyzing its contents with Takashi, whom she had helped escape Vorkadian custody through an emergency evacuation protocol she designed herself. "They're here already," Takashi whispered, nodding toward 2 Vorkadian advisors, flanking Council Chairwoman Dias. Their crystalline forms gleamed under the chamber lights, inner patterns pulsing in perfect synchronization. Elena checked her tablet, confirming that their evidence was ready for presentation. "Remember the plan. If anything happens to me, get to the Curiosity and initiate Protocol Scorched Earth." As Elena approached the council chamber podium, she noticed subtle changes in the human delegates. Several wore small crystalline pins, diplomatic gifts from the Vorkadians that Takashi's analysis had revealed as neural interface devices. The affected council members moved with an unnatural precision, their expressions placid. "Commander Reyes," Chairwoman Dias acknowledged. "You requested this emergency session to discuss security concerns." Elena connected her tablet to the display system. "Chairwoman, honored delegates, I've uncovered evidence that the Vorkadian presence on Earth represents an existential threat to humanity." Before the first image could appear, the display system went dark. Councilman Jansen stood, his movements stiff. "Commander Reyes has unfortunately been exposed to conspiracy theories. Her military background makes her unduly suspicious of our benefactors." Elena tried to override the system, but found herself locked out. The Vorkadian technology gifts aren't gifts at all. They're Trojan horses designed to. "That's quite enough, Commander," Grand Emissary Zix Edel's voice echoed as he entered the chamber. "We have been patient with human paranoia, but your baseless accusations threaten the advancement of your species." Elena looked desperately at the council members, finding only blank stares or open hostility. "Show them what happens to Category 3 worlds, Zix Edel. Show them what happened to the Centauri, the Proxons, the 57 other civilizations your hegemony has devoured." The room temperature seemed to drop as Zix Edel's crystalline form brightened. "It appears our timeline must be accelerated." He raised a glowing appendage, Integration Protocol Alpha. Throughout the chamber, the crystalline pins on council members flared. Those wearing them suddenly stood in unison, their eyes vacant. Across the planet, Vorkadian towers simultaneously emitted electromagnetic pulses that disabled non-Vorkadian technology. "You see, Commander," Zix Edel's voice had lost all pretense of warmth. "We found Earth particularly valuable not for your resources, but for your neural patterns. Human creativity, while chaotic and inefficient, contains unique properties our collective can utilize." Takashi grabbed Elena's arm, pulling her toward the exit as security forces with glowing eyes moved to intercept them. "It's happening everywhere," he hissed, showing her his backup tablet displaying global news feeds. Vorkadian ships descended on major cities. Defense systems worldwide stood down or turned against human operators. They barely escaped the building as crystalline barriers began sealing all exits. Outside, the Geneva skyline transformed as hidden Vorkadian structures activated, rising from beneath buildings and lakes. The sky darkened with the arrival of massive ships. "The Curiosity," Elena gasped as they ran. "It's our only chance now." Above them, Zix Edel's face appeared on an enormous projection visible across the city. "People of Earth, today marks your ascension. The illusion of choice is no longer necessary. You will serve the perfect order of the Vorkadian Empire. Resistance is both futile and illogical." Elena and Takashi disappeared into an underground passage as the first screams erupted across the city. Humanity's darkest hour had begun. The Curiosity shuddered as it broke Earth's atmosphere, its retrofitted stealth systems straining against detection. Elena gripped her command chair, watching the blue planet recede, its night side now glittering with the alien glow of Vorkadian control structures. Proximity alert, Lieutenant Park announced from the tactical station. 2 Vorkadian cruisers on intercept trajectory. Divert all non-essential power to the stealth systems, Elena ordered. The bridge lights dimmed to emergency levels as the ship's experimental cloaking technology, originally designed for deep space observation, struggled to mask their heat signature. Dr. Sanvi Kapoor looked up from her console. "Commander, the modifications are holding, but we can't maintain this energy configuration for more than 20 minutes. The vessel carried only 17 crew members, those who had been away from the Vorkadian integration centers when the takeover began. Each face on the bridge showed the same haunted expression, their eyes constantly drawn to the view screen's image of Earth. We've cleared their sensor range," Park finally reported. "Setting course for Mars Colony Outpost." Takashi approached Elena with a data tablet. "I've compiled everything from Cathal's crystal. The Vorkadians have conquered 63 worlds using the same methodology. Earth is just their latest acquisition." "And their technology?" Elena asked. "Advanced, but oddly static. These conquest protocols haven't changed in centuries. They've had no need to innovate." Takashi's eyes narrowed. "They're powerful but predictable." The communications console suddenly flared to life. "Incoming transmission, unknown origin," Chen reported. "It's using our old military encryption." On screen, Elena commanded, her hand moving instinctively to her sidearm. The view screen flickered to reveal a familiar crystalline face. "Commander Reyes," Cathal's voice came through with unusual urgency. "I've escaped aboard a maintenance vessel. Request permission to rendezvous." Elena exchanged glances with her officers. "How do we know this isn't a trap?" "The resistance code is fractured light still shines," Cathal answered. "I am not the only one of my kind who opposes the Empire. We call ourselves the Fractured." Mars Colony appeared as a faint red dot in the distance. Once a promising research outpost, now their only hope for sanctuary. 12 hours later, Elena stood in the colony's command center, surrounded by her crew, a handful of Mars researchers, and Cathal. The alien's crystalline form seemed diminished, his inner light patterns irregular. "The neural network is the key to their control," Cathal explained, projecting schematics. "Each conquered world has a central node that coordinates the local Vorkadian forces. We need to find Earth's node," Takashi said. Cathal's lights pulsed in agreement. "Geneva." Beneath the lake. A garbled transmission interrupted them. On screen appeared a young woman with Elena's eyes. "This is Maya Reyes broadcasting on all emergency frequencies. If anyone from the Resistance can hear this, we're fighting back." "My sister," Elena whispered. Maya continued. "The aliens can't process our music. Their systems glitch when exposed to complex harmonies. We're using symphony broadcasts to create safe zones. They also struggle with abstract art and humor. It's like their minds can't handle human creativity." The transmission cut off abruptly, but hope had kindled in the room. Elena turned to the gathered survivors, determination hardening her features. "The Vorkadians have conquered countless worlds, but they've never faced humanity before." She pulled up a map of Earth. "They expect us to fight with conventional weapons, to be predictable, but we have something they've never encountered." "What's that, Commander?" asked one of the Mars researchers. Elena smiled for the first time since the invasion. "The beautiful chaos of the human mind. We'll fight them with art, music, humor, and illogical thinking. Everything their rigid consciousness cannot process." Around the table, faces transformed as the first seeds of true rebellion took root. 3 weeks after establishing the Mars base, Elena stood before a transparent containment field, watching Takashi and Dr. Kapoor examine Cathal's willing contribution, a small fragment of his crystalline structure. "Remarkable," Takashi murmured as he adjusted the quantum microscope. "The lattice patterns aren't just biological. They're computational. Each crystal facet stores and processes information simultaneously. Dr. Kapoor nodded. It's like their entire species is a quantum computing network. Kefal observed from nearby, his form dimmer than usual after donating the fragment. The collective consciousness is our greatest strength and our greatest vulnerability. Perfect efficiency requires perfect order. Elena leaned closer to the microscope display, and human unpredictability disrupts that order. More than you realize, Kefal replied. Vorkadian consciousness evolved toward absolute logic. We shed emotional processing eons ago as inefficient. When faced with input that defies logical patterns, like your art, music, humor, our neural networks attempt to find order where none exists. Lieutenant Park entered the lab with a data tablet. Commander, we've decoded more of the Vorkadian communications. Their forces are struggling to maintain control in areas broadcasting human music. They're calling it a pattern corruption virus. A smile tugged at Elena's lips. They can't comprehend that there's no virus, just Mozart and Miles Davis. Over the next days, the Resistance developed their strategy. While Mina's Earth resistance cells employed artistic destruction, the Mars team worked to understand the aliens' physical vulnerabilities. Their technology is incredibly advanced, Takashi explained during a briefing, but it hasn't fundamentally changed in over 3,000 years. No innovation, no adaptation, just perfect execution of established patterns. Show them the resonance tests, Elena instructed. Takashi nodded, displaying footage of their experiments with the crystalline fragment. When exposed to chaotic input, jazz music, abstract poetry, even certain types of mathematical paradoxes, the crystal structure attempts to find patterns. When it fails, it experiences quantum decoherence. In simpler terms, Dr. Kapoor added, their biology glitches when trying to process human creativity. Thal stepped forward, his lights pulsing with urgency. The Geneva node is the key. It synchronizes all Vorkadian forces on Earth to the collective. It contains a quantum entanglement core linked directly to the Empire's central consciousness. If we disrupt it, Elena began. The local network would collapse, Kefal finished. Individual Vorkadians would be cut off from the collective mind, forced to think independently, something most haven't done in millennia. Elena turned to the tactical display showing Earth's current status. Nearly 70% of the planet was under Vorkadian control, but resistance hotspots persisted. Concert halls broadcasting symphonies, art museums where abstract expressionism confused Vorkadian censors, comedy clubs whose performances crashed nearby alien systems. We need to coordinate all resistance cells for a simultaneous creative assault, Elena decided. Maximum chaos across all frequencies while a strike team infiltrates Geneva. There's one more thing you should understand, Kefal said quietly. Young Vorkadians, those not fully integrated into the collective, sometimes develop irregularities, emotional processes that should have been eliminated. Some of us experience curiosity, empathy, even creativity of our own. The Empire calls it a disorder. We call it awakening. Elena's eyes widened with understanding. We're not just fighting to save humanity. We're fighting for the freedom of both our species. She turned to her team, newfound determination in her voice. Prepare Operation Harmony. It's time we showed the Vorkadian Empire the true power of the human spirit. Operation Harmony commenced at dawn. Across Earth, resistance cells activated simultaneously. In Paris, the Louvre's hidden speakers broadcast Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, while digital projectors displayed Picasso and Dali across Vorkadian control towers. In Tokyo, haiku poets recited paradoxical verses through hijacked communication systems. In Lagos, drummers performed polyrhythms that sent Vorkadian patrols into confused retreats. Elena watched the global feed from the bridge of the Curiosity as they approached Earth under stealth. The planet's surface flickered with unusual light patterns, Vorkadian systems attempting to compensate for the creative assault. Status report, she commanded. Vorkadian communication networks experiencing 60% degradation. Lieutenant Park announced. Their coordination is failing. Individual units are falling back to pre-programmed responses. Takashi monitored another display. Maya's team has successfully established a blind corridor to Lake Geneva. The Vorkadian sensors there are completely overwhelmed by the Metropolitan Orchestra's performance of John Cage's 433. Alina raised an eyebrow. 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence is disrupting their systems. It's brilliant, Kefil explained, his crystals pulsing with something resembling admiration. The Vorkadians expect pattern. When human musicians formally present silence as music, the collective frantically searches for the pattern that must exist, creating a processing loop. The curiosity descended through Earth's atmosphere, their approach masked by the chaotic global assault on Vorkadian systems. The strike team, Elena, Takashi, Kefal, and 4 specially trained Mars colonists, prepared for insertion. Remember, Elena addressed them in the shuttle bay. Conventional weapons are secondary. Each of you carries more effective armaments. She nodded to their specialized equipment. Devices that projected philosophical paradoxes, musical instruments, and tablets loaded with abstract art and nonsensical poetry. They landed in the chaos of Geneva. The once orderly Vorkadian occupation forces moved erratically, their crystalline forms flickering with confused light patterns. Using the disruption as cover, the team made their way toward Lake Geneva. The node entrance is beneath the jet duo, Kefal indicated as they reached the waterfront. A Vorkadian patrol suddenly materialized before them. Weapons raised. Elena stepped forward calmly and activated her paradox projector. This statement is false. The simple logical paradox displayed in Vorkadian script. The patrol's lights flickered violently as they attempted to process the impossible statement. While they struggled, the team slipped past. Underwater access tunnels led them deep beneath the lake to a massive crystalline chamber, the Geneva node. At its center pulsed a perfect dodecahedron of pure quantum crystal, floating in a containment field. The synchronization core, Kefal whispered, but it's heavily defended. 4 elite Vorkadian guards stood at the chamber's entrance, their forms larger and more intricate than any they'd encountered. Behind them waited Grand Emissary Zix Idol himself. Commander Reyes, the emissary's voice resonated through the chamber. Your primitive disruptions are temporary annoyances. Order will reassert itself. Elena stepped forward. We humans prefer our chaos. Thank you. She nodded to Takashi, who activated their final weapon, a quantum-enhanced violin. As he played a wildly improvised piece that followed no recognizable musical theory, the guards' crystalline forms began to flicker erratically. Zix et al. Remained unaffected. Your resistance is illogical. Why fight the inevitable? Elena smiled. Because the only inevitability is change. The emissary moved to stop them, but froze as Maya's voice suddenly echoed through the chamber. She'd breached the node's communication systems from within. Process this, Crystal Face, Maya announced, before broadcasting the most chaotic creation of human culture, thousands of children's drawings, simultaneously, directly into the node's quantum core. The synchronization crystal pulsed violently as it attempted to find patterns in the pure, unfiltered creativity. Cracks appeared across its perfect surface. Impossible, Zix et al. Whispered as the heart of Earth's occupation began to shatter. The Geneva node's destruction sent shockwaves across Earth. Vorkadian forces, suddenly cut off from their collective consciousness, fell into disarray. Some collapsed entirely, their crystalline forms darkening as individual thought overwhelmed systems designed for hive mind efficiency. Others retained basic function but lost coordination, attacking empty buildings or standing motionless in confusion. Elena helped Maya from the hidden access tunnel where she had infiltrated the node's systems weeks earlier. The sisters embraced amid the chaos of failing alien technology. How did you get inside? Elena asked, surveying the damage. Maya grinned. I played cello for their commander. Bach's cello suite no. 1. He became so fixated on analyzing its mathematical patterns that I walked right past him into the maintenance shafts. Been hiding in the system core ever since, learning their communications. Takashi approached, his tablet displaying global updates. Military forces are retaking major cities. Without central coordination, the Vorkadians can't maintain their occupation grid. Kefel's crystalline form pulsed with urgent patterns. This victory is momentary. The Vorkadian High Command will detect the network failure within hours. As if confirming his warning, the remaining display systems in the chamber activated. A massive Vorkadian vessel appeared on screen, larger than any they had seen before, its crystalline structure so perfect it seemed carved from a single gemstone. The Eternal Order, Kefil whispered. The Empire's planetary pacification dreadnought. Belina studied the approaching vessel. How long until it reaches Earth? 72 hours, Kefil answered. It carries weapons capable of rendering your planet uninhabitable. The High Command would rather destroy Earth than lose it. Maya's expression hardened. Then we take the fight to them. Back aboard the Curiosity, now joined by Earth's remaining functional spacecraft, Alina convened an emergency council. Representatives from resistance cells worldwide joined via secure channels, alongside military leaders freed from Vorkadian control. The disruption has spread beyond Earth, Kefil reported, displaying intercepted communications. Other conquered worlds are experiencing system failures as the collective struggles to compensate for Earth's disconnect. Can we contact these worlds? Elena asked. I've been trying, Maya said, using the codes I found in the node. 3 systems have responded. The Arcturians, the Tausetians, and the Proteans. All were conquered centuries ago. All have hidden resistance movements. Admiral Cheng, commander of Earth's remaining naval forces, shook his head. Even with their help, we can't match the firepower of the Eternal Order. We don't need to, Takashi interjected, displaying his analysis. The dreadnought's perfect crystalline structure is also its weakness. It's the physical embodiment of absolute order, more vulnerable to chaos than any other Vorkadian system. Elena leaned forward. What are you suggesting? We go to the source, Takashi said. Kefil and I have modified the Curiosity's drive systems using what we learned from the node. We can open a direct wormhole to the Vorkadian homeworld. Silence fell across the command center. Not to attack, Elena clarified, seeing the shock on her officers' faces. The Vorkadians aren't inherently malevolent. They're trapped in a system that evolved toward perfect efficiency at the cost of creativity and empathy. We'll bring them the one thing their empire has never allowed. Choice, Kefil finished, his crystalline form brightening. And the truth. Within hours, volunteers from across Earth's resistance joined the mission. Artists, musicians, dancers, poets, comedians, philosophers, humanity's most creative minds assembled alongside the military crew. The Curiosity, now emblazoned with colorful murals across its hull, prepared for the most audacious operation in human history. As the ship engaged its modified drive, Elena addressed her crew. We're about to show the Vorkadian Empire something they've never encountered in millennia of conquest, the full, beautiful spectrum of human expression. And perhaps, she glanced at Kefil, remind them of what they've lost. The ship vanished in a flash of light, leaving Earth behind as the Eternal Order loomed ever closer. The Curiosity emerged from the wormhole into the crystalline heart of the Vorkadian Empire. Planet Vorkadia gleamed like a perfect diamond, its surface covered in geometrically flawless cities. Massive orbital structures formed precise patterns around the world, a civilization that had engineered chaos out of existence. No defensive response, Lieutenant Park reported with surprise. They never expected anyone to reach their homeworld. Kefil's form brightened. The eternal consciousness resides in the crystal spire at the planet's northern pole. From there, it coordinates the entire empire. Elena turned to her assembled team of Earth's creative forces. Remember the plan. This isn't an attack. It's an introduction. The Curiosity descended through the atmosphere unopposed, landing on a vast plaza near the towering crystal spire. As the ship touched down, Vorkadian citizens gathered at a distance, their perfectly ordered movements faltering at the sight of the vessel covered in chaotic human artwork. Alina led her team onto Vorkadian soil. Maya carried her cello. Takashi brought quantum transmitters. Artists, musicians, philosophers, and scientists followed, each bringing human creativity in its purest forms. From the crystal spire emerged a Vorkadian unlike any they had seen. Taller, more intricate, its crystalline structure containing every color imaginable. The supreme consciousness of the Vorkadian Empire. Humans, its voice resonated across the plaza. Your resistance is unprecedented, fascinating, but ultimately futile. Alina stepped forward. We didn't come to fight. We came to share. Before the supreme consciousness could respond, Maya began to play back on her cello. Painters created splashes of color across portable canvases. Dancers moved in unpredictable patterns. Poets recited verses that defied logical analysis. Philosophers posed questions with no absolute answers. The gathered Vorkadians watched in collective confusion. Many older ones retreated, their forms flickering with distress. But younger Vorkadians moved closer, their crystalline structures resonating with the music. Meanwhile, Takashi activated the quantum transmitters. The complete truth of the Empire's conquest, the subjugation, the lies, the alternatives never considered, broadcast to every Vorkadian system and conquered world simultaneously. Stop this disorder. The supreme consciousness commanded, its perfect form showing the first signs of fracture. Alina faced the ancient being. There is beauty in imperfection, strength in diversity, wisdom in questioning. Your empire has achieved perfect order, but at what cost? Look at your people. Around them, younger Vorkadians began to change. Their rigid patterns shifted, influenced by the human creativity surrounding them. Individual variations appeared in their crystalline structures, the first expressions of unique thought in generations. You offer chaos, the supreme consciousness accused. We offer choice, Alina corrected. Freedom to create, to question, to feel. Cathal stepped forward, his form now pulsing with new patterns. For millennia, we've confused efficiency with perfection. But look at what these humans create through their beautiful chaos. Across the Empire, the rigid control began to dissolve. On conquered worlds, Vorkadian forces found themselves making individual choices for the first time. Many chose cooperation over domination. The supreme consciousness studied Alina with ancient eyes that were seeing clearly for the first time. What do you propose, human? Partnership, Alina answered. A new galactic community built on diversity and cooperation. Not perfect, not always efficient, but alive with possibility. 3 months later, representatives from 100 worlds gathered in the same plaza, now transformed with gardens, artwork, and music. The Galactic Conquests was signed, establishing the new interstellar community where all species contributed their unique perspectives. And Earth became known across the stars not for military might or technological supremacy, but for its greatest gift to the galaxy, the beautiful, unpredictable spark of human creativity that had shattered perfect chains and taught an ancient empire how to dream again.